Hello, I'm Jack Cox, author of Love Not Fear, and I'm back with my usual co-host, Paul Simon Smith from Nutrient Nirvana, the source of excellent supplements. Hello, Paul.
Hello, mate. How are you? All right. This is all new, isn't it?
This is a completely new thing, putting this on Zoom, and it's a huge learning curve. And I'm stressed out in my little tiny brain at the moment, so we'll just see how it works out.
Anything could happen tonight. Anything could happen.
Yeah, we may go back to restream next week. We'll just sort of see how it works out. Is there anything you particularly wanted to talk about today, Paul?
I'm feeling much better now, thank goodness, after quite a long, protracted mystery illness, shall we say. I don't know what it was. I think I mentioned to you before that I had no symptoms whatsoever, no coughing, sneezing, upset tummy, nothing at all like that. I just felt cripplingly tired for about 10 days. Very, very odd. Everyone around me had been ill, but they had symptoms, but I had absolutely nothing other than just feeling extremely tired. Walking to the shop for 5 minutes and back, and I would just feel like I'd run a marathon. It was crazy.
Well, so I didn't tell anybody you'd been ill. I didn't know whether you wanted me to tell them.
It's all right. You know,
I just said that you were otherwise engaged or busy with the shop or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So how's your shop going?
It's pretty good. I haven't been there for a week now because of being unwell, obviously. I'm going back there on Wednesday, but I'm being told that things are selling, which is the important thing. So that's good. And it's a lovely little environment. It's like a little craft village. It's still being developed at the moment, but if anyone's in the Fobbing sort of Thurrock area in Essex, it's well worth checking out. So it's going pretty good, mate. We're going to be doing workshops every Monday, sort of health workshops, and that's going to be focused on diet and supplementation.
What time? What time?
Yeah, I'm really sorry, mate.
What time?
It's going to be 12 o'clock in the afternoons. We've not finalised the finer details yet, but that should be starting in about 2 weeks. But it'll be 12 o'clock. It's going to be
12 noon.
Sorry, mate.
12 noon.
12 noon. Yeah, it's going to be free as well. It's not going to cost anyone anything. They can just drop in. We're going to have an open discussion on what we consider to be a healthy diet, and why I think you should be taking certain supplements.
Brilliant.
So, yeah. By the way, mate, I'm finding you at the moment very, very soft, volume-wise. I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay. I don't know how we fix that. I have no idea how we fix that.
Just check my levels, but I don't think... Yeah, I'm 100%. I'm all good. You're just coming across very soft. I'm having to really strain to hear you.
Well, I've got my little microphone here.
I've got my big microphone here.
Well, maybe I'll plug my big microphone in next time. But I couldn't be bothered today. Actually, I get better sound quality from this than the big one.
It's surprising, isn't it? Because I've tried this out for the first time today. I recorded a video earlier with Ralph Ellis and Dan Interbrink. And I tried it for the first time. And I don't think it makes that much difference. The mic I've got on my laptop is excellent. But I suppose you look a bit more professional, don't you? You look at the bee's knees with one of these big microphones near your face. So,
well, when I went down to Glastonbury, there's no way I could take the big microphone with me. So I just took this.
Yeah.
And I found the sound quality was better. So I've stuck with this.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Am I still faint? I've just moved it a bit closer to me.
Yeah. Do I sound any different to you?
No.
No. Well, that was 90 quid down the toilet then, wasn't it?
It is what it is, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay. We might go back to restream. But as I was saying to you before the show, I did a show with Emma Barker Hall on last Friday, and it was a disaster. Restream really mucked up the sound. So this is why I thought we've got to give Zoom a chance.
Yeah, not many people have heard of Restream, have they? Zoom is much more popular. As I was saying to you before we went live, I did a video with Ralph today, Ralph Ellis and Dan Interbrink, And when three of us were sharing the screen, his connection dropped immediately. And in the end, we had to end it, and we're going to reshoot the second half next week. But yeah, that was very frustrating. So I don't know if I can blame Restream for that, or whether it was just the guy's dodgy connection. I'm not sure.
I think Restream uses a lot of computer resources. And I've only got a very primitive computer here. I need a new one, really, but anyone's got a computer to donate, we need a new one here.
You can set up one of those Patreon things, couldn't you? GoFundMe or whatever.
Yeah, well, Emma was talking about setting up a GoFundMe to get me a new computer, but
there you are. That's
it'd be nice. It'd be nice if it happens. I don't like asking, as you know.
No, but yeah, I think you should, mate. I think we should organise something like that for you.
That's brilliant, thank you. I'll get you together with Emma. You can talk it over. Yeah. So you were talking about your recent videos. What else have you done?
I've, as you know, I've recorded another video with Maria Weatley, who's an amazing archaeologist and past life regressor and all sorts of magical things. That was really, really interesting. Hopefully that'll be out this week. And
well, you've asked me to edit it, so
yeah.
That's down to me, isn't it? I promise I'll get on with it tomorrow.
I thought I'd just drop the hint there.
yeah. But I had to completely re-edit it, the one I did with Emma, and re-upload it, and that took most of 2 days. So and I ended up splitting it into 2 halves. The first half went up yesterday, the second half went up this morning. So now I'm free to have a look at your Maria Weatley one.
Yeah, brilliant, mate, brilliant.
We're actually sorry.
I was going to say we're actually going to do another video possibly next week, and she's going to past life regress me on YouTube. So you can find out who I was in the previous life by tuning in. No, my luck, I'll be Jack the Ripper or someone.
Well, you know my theory, Paul, don't you? Because I have
about past lives.
Yeah, because I have mentioned it on here before. If we're all one, if there is only one oversoul, God, whatever you want to call it, the one universal mind, then we have access to all the past lives lived by everybody, not just our own.
Yeah, I could see that, I suppose. I mean, at the same time, we're all unique expressions of the same universal consciousness or whatever it might be, I suppose. So do we stay as that unique expression throughout, or do we, I don't know.
This is what we don't know. Are we just unique expressions while we're incarnate?
That's what I've always thought, but I'd certainly entertain your idea as well.
Because I've had some very interesting past lives that have come up. But of course, how do you know it's not a memory bleeding through from incarnations that weren't actually me?
Yes, I've often thought that as well.
Put it a different way, if everyone is me and everyone is you, then does it really matter?
I'll have to ask Maria about that. She's obviously an expert on past life regression. And I think she said that when she regresses somebody, she doesn't talk to you, she talks to your soul or your higher self, and I suppose gains access that way, possibly.
But if she's looking at the Akashic records, she may not even realize she's looking at the Akashic records.
Yeah.
How does she know she's looking at yours and not somebody else's?
Yeah. Well, I'll ask her that before we do it and see what she says. Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out.
You want to get on a lottering on if you can. I've tried to get her on a couple of times because she sides with me on this particular subject. Not on most things, but on this particular subject. Yeah.
Does she do past life regression?
I don't know, but talk to her about it.
Yeah, sure.
She's trying to branch out, I think, a little bit into doing working with other people instead of just working with herself.
What's her name again, Jack? Honor
Honor Lottering.
Lottering. Okay.
You'll find her on my friends list.
Yeah. Okay, mate.
Very interesting lady. Very wise lady, and she got a different perspective on a lot of things. She's a seer, basically. She goes into meditation and sees all kinds of different things.
I think I've heard you mention it before now. Yeah, that's triggered a memory. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'll check her out, definitely, mate.
I had a weird one that came through last month about when I was on the Somerset levels at the time of Alfred the Great.
Really? Wow. So that would have been 10th century, I think.
And 10th century, yeah. And just before the big battle that where he started to take back control of Britain.
So
Wessex,
you would,
anyway.
Yeah, you had been regressed by somebody, or this was just a dream or a meditation you had?
Just flashed into my head.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And I looked it up, the date of this battle, and it took it back a week to when I would have had any involvement with those people before they went off to battle, and it would have taken them a week or so to get there. And it coincided exactly with when I had the flashback.
Oh, wow. That is a coincidence, isn't it? That's very interesting.
Exactly 1144 years ago to the day. Or give or take a couple of days.
So when this flashed into your mind, what do you remember? Do you remember what you were wearing, for example, or what the weather was like? I'm asking you this because when Maria was talking to me about this, she said when somebody goes into that regress state, the first thing that the regressor asks the person is, what are you wearing on your feet? That's the first question.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly aware of that. I was more aware of what I was doing.
What were you doing?
But don't forget, we were marshmen. The whole area was flooded in those days.
Right. Yeah.
It's long before the levels were drained. And yeah, I was doing a ritual.
A ritual. Right. Okay. What sort of ritual? A good one, hopefully.
Yeah, very good one.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, to give the soldiers good luck to go and fight off the Danes.
Oh, okay. Brilliant.
I won't go too much into it because it involves other people, but yeah, it was interesting. Very interesting.
They're all dead, surely. I'm sure they won't mind if you mention them now.
Yeah, well, we better not go into that. But if I tell you the ritual was at a certain sacred spring.
Oh, okay.
In a field on Wiriel Hill, you'll get the idea.
Right. Okay. Leave it there, mate. Yeah.
Not going any further. But it helped to put an awful lot of things into perspective.
Oh, okay.
So who else have you interviewed this week?
Blimey, mate, it's only Monday.
Well, last week then, don't pick it.
Maria was last week. In actual fact, Jack, I've had a little bit of a break. Wasn't really planned. I do have a guy lined up, but he's just had a bereavement, just about as we were about to fix a date. This guy I found on YouTube on another channel talking about his near-death experience. And it was an amazing story because he went into so much fine detail about everything he experienced. And it really rang true. So I managed to get into contact with him, and we arranged for him to come on the channel. And then he's had this unfortunate family bereavement. So that will hopefully happen in the near future once he's dealt with that. But I've had a break. I've had a bit of a break because, as you're aware, Jack, as you're a YouTuber as well, it takes a lot of time doing this stuff to do a decent job of it anyway, you have to do some research and make sure you know who you're talking to and what the subject matter is and all the rest of it. And I found that I'm focusing more on that than I was on my work. So I had to take a break and sort of readjust the balance of things, if you see what I mean. So because it's very tempting, I love doing this, and it's very tempting to do a video every day with someone. A lot of people are willing to speak and promote their books or whatever they might be promoting, and there's so many fascinating people to speak to, but you can quickly lose track of the rest of your life if you're not careful. So I've had a bit of a break on that front anyway, mate.
I mean, this really is my life now. Now I'm retired. I just do these 2 shows a week, and
yeah, it's great.
I've got the community garden, and that's about it, really. So
yeah, that's brilliant, mate. You're set.
It's good to be retired.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very important to stay reasonably busy when you're retired as well. Because some people, they sort of become retired and they relax, and it would seem that many people are lost that way. Many people don't live very long after their retirement, but the people that stay busy and focused and continue to develop new interests and passions and things like that, they tend to live a lot longer. So you're all good there, Jack, as well, mate.
Yeah. So who was this American guy that you interviewed?
So his name is Dan Unterbrink. He's based in Ohio in America. He's written 4 or 5 books on the historical Jesus. And he has identified Judas the Galilean as the historical Jesus. And funnily enough, because Ralph obviously places the historical Jesus a generation ahead of the official dating, he places Isas Manu as leader of the Jewish revolt, which took place in AD 70. And Judas the Galilean, it would seem, was busy. He was the guy that Josephus wrote about. Judas the Galilean developed the 4th philosophy of Judaism. So you had, I think, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, and this was like the 4th philosophy. And I'm reading his book at the moment, the first one, which is called Judas the Galilean, which you can see there. Yeah. And it's very well written, very interesting book. And he does share similarities, commonalities with Ralph as well, although they identify a different character as Jesus. A lot of their research is intertwined. So it's very, very interesting stuff, mate. I've had a kind of a mild interest in all this up until about, I'd say, probably about 5 years ago when I first read one of Ralph's books. And I've been obsessed with it ever since, because it's just a fascinating subject. And when you don't have to delve too deeply into it to realize, I think, that there was, without question, a historical Jesus, somebody that they based their biblical Jesus on. I mean, all the characters in the New Testament are in Josephus, with the exception of Jesus, unless you believe the Testimonium Flavianum, which many scholars question that and think it's an interpolation. They think it's been added a long time after Josephus wrote his works. So it's a very strange thing that Jesus is you've got Jesus's brother in there, James, you've got Peter in there, you've got Pontius Pilate, Caiaphas, all these characters are in there, but Jesus and where he was from, Edessa, have been completely left out by Josephus, which is very strange, as if they had something to cover up or hide.
A lot of people think that Jesus was a composite character made up of more than one person.
Well, yeah, go on.
And so, both could be right.
Well, I think that's what Ralph is saying. Ralph is saying primarily he's discovered this guy, this king in the historical record called Isates Manu, the 6th of Edessa. But he also says that Jesus of Gamala in the works of Josephus, and Jesus of Caiaphas, And there's also characters in the Talmud that where Jesus has been written about, but they've used a different name because they hated him so much. They really hated this guy because he upset the apple cart. And also, he's referred to as a king about 28 times in the New Testament. He's also given different names as well in the New Testament. So for my money, he definitely existed. There's very little doubt about that for me now. It's just whether or not Ralph is right, and I think he's definitely discovered something with Odessa. Practically nobody had heard of Odessa prior to Ralph writing his books. And he's uncovered a lot of history. And as I say, Odessa has been deleted from history. And it was a very important part of that region of the world in the 1st century. So why would that be completely and utterly not spoken about, not written about? It doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense at all. No. Absolutely. So this character, Judas of, what was he? Judas
the Galilean.
What period was he?
He first comes onto the scene around 4 BC and then in 6 AD, I think. So he's earlier. And I think Daniel Unterbrink says that he was crucified in the 20s, not the 30s. And he also says that Pontius Pilate became, I think the word is procurator of that region, like he was the governor in AD, from AD 19, which is 7 years earlier than most other scholars say. Right. Because he's saying Jesus was crucified around AD 22, 23. And most people think that Pilate reigned from AD 26. So he's kind of moved the date slightly. He provides evidence for that, his own evidence. So yeah, he was the founder, the creator of the 4th philosophy of Judaism, as recorded by Josephus. So he is a significant character in history in the 1st century AD in that region. So he could be right. He could be right. I mean, my money's still on Ralph. You know, I think Ralph has done some amazing work on the subject. And the interesting thing about Ralph is that a lot of scholars and academics in that field really get wound up and angry about what Ralph says. And I think that possibly if you're right over the target with something and you're upsetting the apple cart and presenting new information, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like it.
Same with Egyptology, isn't it? You come up with a different theory and they don't like you.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
But, so yeah, it's quite possible if that both historical characters could have contributed to the mythological character.
Yes. Although Ralph says that Judas the Galilean was probably either the father or uncle of his character, his Jesus. Excuse me. Which is why I was saying earlier that their research intertwines quite a lot. You know, they're very close with what they're saying. So it's an interesting subject, mate. Can't get enough of it.
Now, you were saying to me earlier that you got some videos, some video clips.
Oh yeah. I sent you some videos today. I went mad on my local community group on Facebook, on Messenger, and just sent them all the videos as well, because I'd been watching these videos about the WEF, World Economic Forum meeting recently, and some of the things that were being talked about at the forum. And none of them were very nice, as I'm sure you can imagine. And in fact, one of the things that was mentioned that I think is safe to say on here, is that by 2030, we'll have 6G by then. We'll have gone past 5G. It'll be 6G. And 6G is what they describe as the Internet of Things. And what's been kind of revealed at this forum is that by 2030, we won't have a smartphone in our hands anymore. The smartphone will be inside us.
Yeah. that's what they want, isn't it? But I don't think that's going to go down very well.
Well, I would hope not. I mean, I can imagine some people would probably like the idea because, you know, they like all this new technology and they think it's amazing and blah, blah, blah. But I reckon probably the majority of people will be, at the very least, a little bit uncertain at first about it. Or you would hope so anyway. But I think they were saying that you would still have some sort of device, but it would only have like a couple of options on it. And basically all the tech would be inside you. How the tech gets inside you, I'm sure you could probably imagine. I won't mention it here on YouTube because we don't want your channel to get another strike. But
fish and chips.
Well, on the subject of not fish and chips, on the subject of the, I think I'll call it the Wuhan flu.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Ralph Ellis, actually, I was talking to him about being ill the other day, and he made a comment that really interested me because up to this point, I very much doubted its actual existence. But he said that the Chinese people, or the Chinese government, warned the rest of the world that the lurgy could exist on cold meats for up to 6 months, I think it was. And our governments ignored all that information. So that interested me because you could do that very easily, couldn't you, Jack? You could do that very easily.
It sounds like scaremongering to me, Paul.
Possibly, but it was a theory that I hadn't heard before, and I did that, so I thought I'd mention it. And he's no mug, Ralph, but I mean, we've all got our own theories on things. So, like I say, for a long time now, I've very much doubted its actual existence. I just think it's been a propaganda, or a product that they've put out there, a pretend one, to get everyone jibby jabbed.
Yeah. I've never doubted its existence. I've just doubted that it's anything like it's being hyped up to be.
Well, if what I had recently was COVID, if I had COVID last week and the week before, it wouldn't surprise. I mean, it was like nothing I've ever had before. It was something very different to your average cold or flu. As I said, I had no symptoms whatsoever, but I just felt tired constantly, a very slight headache, and I sounded a little bit croaky, but I didn't have a sore throat as such. I just felt knackered all the time, and I couldn't get anything done. It was really frustrating. I mean, we're in the busiest period of the year in terms of the allotment, as you know. So I went back there at the weekend, and the grass had gone, in 2 weeks. So I had a lot of work to do. But I don't know, mate. It's maybe one day we will know. Who knows? But search me.
And then we got flu.
Another interesting story to tell you about this nonsense. So somebody was telling me that when that story first broke, they went on some government website or some website, official website, and it said that the lurgy, the banana lurgy, was not contagious. And then he went back the next day and it had changed, and they said it was.
A friend told me about this. A friend warned me about this about 6 months ago. And I said, nah, give over. No, people aren't that daft. People won't fall for it again.
It's on the BBC or Sky, mate. I mean, I've told you before, Jack. I saw a sketch on Sky News about 3-4 months ago now. But I just could not believe what I was watching. It was not related to the lurgy or anything like that. It was related to health. And they showed an elderly man looking after his elderly wife who had dementia. Very sad and all that, And the premise of the whole video was to suggest, and they got the old guy to say, that if only people start taking statins in their 30s, we can avoid dementia in later life, when the complete opposite is the truth.
Yeah.
And that, for me, that was the most evil thing I've ever seen on the television. That's why I've told this story a few times. I couldn't believe what I was watching, because statins reduce the liver's ability to make cholesterol. And our brains are made up primarily of cholesterol and water. And without a regular supply of cholesterol to the brain, we end up with neurological problems. It's just incredible, mate. The you know, how it's so inverted now. It's ridiculous. And the only upside to that, in my opinion, is they're still waking people up with it. You know, but
Paul, the thing I find really sad, I'm not going to talk about evil. The thing I find really sad, if this is an intelligence test, most of the population have failed it.
Well, they've been dumbing people down for a long time, mate, haven't they? With the fluoride and all the rest of it, and the drugs and the food, the processed foods, the fast foods, the television, everything, everywhere you look. You know, I mean, it's not really changing the subject. My sister worked in theatre for a long time, up until the first lockdown, and then she got made redundant with everyone else. And I've often had free tickets to go and see shows that she's worked on. And you can, over the last 20 to 30 years, the West End in London, the shows have just dramatically fallen in terms of what's intelligence, basically, you know. And it's this, and we've had the X Factor and all that kind of stuff coming onto the TV, and it's all just you know, very dumbed down. So they've been working on that for a long time, and it's paid off for them, unfortunately. It's why I don't have a TV.
On a brighter note.
Yeah, come on, mate. You started it. You started it.
This is supposed to be an uplifting channel.
Yeah. Well, it is. Be like us, everyone. Anyone that's watching, be like us. Don't have a TV. You know, don't have a TV. Don't sit in front of that rubbish. Take your health seriously. Eat like your ancestors. Supplement with a handful of really important things that we can't get from the food chain anymore. Things like magnesium and vitamin C in meaningful doses, iodine. Be like us. And I've never been, Jack, I've never been happier in my life than I am now, and have been over the last, say, 10 to 15 years. It's been the best time of my life, and that's the time that I've been awake. And I understand that many people have woken up over the last couple of years, and the initial shock of that is a very difficult thing to go through. I was very angry when I woke up, but it's worth it. You've got to stick to that path, because knowledge is a great thing. And as I say, mate, I've never been happier myself. You know, I just every day's an adventure. You know, I mean, all right, okay. The people running this world are absolute psychos. There's no doubt about that at all. But I'm so determined to you know, survive everything they throw at me. I can't, you know, bring it on, bastards.
Yeah.
What a record.
I'm the same as you about telly, as you know. I mean, I don't have, I haven't had one in donkey's years. If I want to be systematically lied to, I'll get married again.
No. I can't say the same thing, because I'll be.
No, you're happily married to a very lovely lady.
Very happily married, yeah. And it helps as well that she's awake. You know, we both pretty much woke up at the same time. So that was a big help, I think, for both of us. A lot of people wake up on their own, and a lot of people wake up and their partners stay fast asleep. And I'm watching that at the moment with people I know, and it's a very difficult thing. You know, I'm glad I didn't have to go through that, because that can't be easy on people. You know, when you're trying to maintain a loving relationship with somebody, one of you is awake and one of you is sat in front of the TV thinking it's real. You know.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Well, as I say, I've not been in that situation for a long time, and I don't want to get back to it.
No, you can't in any way. You can't go back to the Matrix. No way.
So what's happening on your allotment?
Well, quite a lot now, thank God, because as I said, I was ill, so I missed 2 weeks literally, and that was an issue, because as you know, Jack, everything, the grass and the weeds go mad at this time of year. So I've had a lot of pulling to do and a lot of cutting back to do, but I've actually managed to get quite a lot of stuff in the ground this week. So we've rescued a dodgy situation, and it's looking much healthier over there now. I've actually shared some photos on my Facebook allotment group, which is called Parrots and Carrots, because we've got parrots that fly about us all the time while we're doing our stuff.
Oh, that's why. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's why we've got
Parakeets.
loads of them, and and every now and again they swoop down and fly over other people's plots, and it's the most magical thing to witness. They're so colourful, really eye-catching and really beautiful. But I think they've been eating one or two of my crops. So, but do you know the reason why we've got parrots in this country?
There's various different rumours as to how they were introduced. What's your pet theory?
It's what I've read. And I'm pretty sure it's a true story. Whether it was the initial thing that caused it, I don't know. But Jimi Hendrix released around 200 parrots in a park in London. I think it might have been Crystal Palace, but I might be wrong. But he released 200 parrots.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, but I think there's been lots of different releases at different times.
Yeah. But that must have been quite an experience for Jimmy, because he was always on the LSD. Imagine opening a box and letting 200 parrots. Whoa, man.
The world will never see another Jimi Hendrix. He was
not at all. He was a one-off. You know, very a few amount of people, I think, get touched on the head twice before they come down, and he was one of them. His talent was, speaking as a guitarist, his talent was otherworldly. It was incredible.
When I was a lot younger, a teenager, I remember tripping to his music.
Do you? Tell us more, Jack.
Just what else is there to say?
Yeah, it's incredible stuff. Yeah.
Just pop a tab of LSD and listen to Jimi Hendrix, and you're away with the fairies. So you really are.
Wonderful. Do you know, when I my dad got me into Jimi Hendrix.
I thought you could say he got you into LSD.
No, that was me nan. She said, "Try some of this, Paul. You'll love it." No, no, it was. But initially, I was into all my kind of 80s pop music at the time. I was about 10, 11 years old, thinking, "Oh, this was cool." Anything that happened before then was complete rubbish. And so I actually buried 3 or 4 of his albums in the garden, so he wouldn't play them anymore. And he found out about it anyway. And luckily, he saw the funny side. So what he did was he stuck 2 headphones on my head, and stuck Purple Haze on. And and that was it, mate. Never looked back since then. Incredible. Just the first time you ever hear that record, it's life-changing. It was for me. It was like, this is incredible.
Fantastic talent, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was just incredible, incredible. Did I tell you that my auntie was in the room when he died? My aunt was a nurse at the hospital where he was brought in, and she was in the room when he was pronounced dead.
Okay.
Claim to fame. I was very disappointed with her when I found that out as a kid, you know. Whoa, couldn't you have saved him? But true story. We've gone off the we
always go off the subject, Paul. We always go off the subject. So right, it's nearly June. What should we all be doing on our land in June?
Well, we're putting in our tomatoes over the next couple of days. So the beginning of June, I think you're going to get your tomatoes in. What else? Nicola's not here to ask. She's the expert. So tomatoes, mate. What would you say?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the main growing season is the main sowing season, and planting season is May. Everything's getting a bit June. You're into just watering and weeding.
Yeah. I mean, we've got quite a lot in at the moment, but we've still got a few things to get in as well. So, and the weather is a bit funny at the moment. I don't know what it's like where you are, but it's quite mild. It's pretty mild today. It's only about 13, 14.
Yeah, it is here. Yeah.
Well under the average, I would say, for this time of year. So I'm a little bit worried about that as well, especially with the tomatoes. because they like Mediterranean conditions, don't they? And
They do, don't they? Yeah, but they'll survive unless we get any really late frosts. They'll still survive.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any frost forecasts unless you're in a frost hollow.
Yeah, not as far as I know.
No. Yeah. I've still got I've not been well this last few days.
Oh, really, mate? Sorry to hear that. Actually, you don't seem quite yourself.
You're supposed to say, you look fantastic, Jack.
You look fantastic, Jack.
Liar.
You don't look bad, mate. You don't look particularly off colour. You just, I can just tell you're not quite 100%.
No, I've had a rough week.
In what respect? Can you talk about it, or is it private?
Not any private. It's just I have good weeks and bad weeks like everybody else, and I've just had a rough one. So yeah.
How many supplements are you taking?
Okay.
Have you cut down a bit?
I've cut them down a lot, actually.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Is it? Yeah.
And not taking them all at the same time as well, because some minerals, vitamins counteract each other, you know. So you've got to be quite careful with that.
Well, I've been diagnosed with anemia, I call it.
Underactive thyroid, wasn't it?
Yeah, underactive thyroid. Yeah.
So iodine would be important.
And I'm quite anemic, apparently.
Steak would be important.
Yes, apart from when you're vegetarian.
Are you still a vegetarian?
Not a very good one.
Okay, I think I've told you before, Jack, that I remember being told by a friend of mine who's a vegetarian that as recently as about 20 years ago, the #1 magazine in this country for vegetarians, I can't remember what it's called now, Vegetarian UK, something like that. They were recommending to vegetarians that once every fortnight they have a little bit of meat.
Yeah. Well, I tend to treat myself on a Sunday, but the rest of the week I'm vegetarian.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Something else. I'm just trying to think if I can tell this story. Someone who will remain nameless, that we both know.
Okay.
Was recently not who you're thinking of. This is a guy. This is a man. He told me that he was starting to experience what he thought was the initial signs of dementia, and obviously was very concerned about this. His father had dementia as well. He was doing things and getting them done, but then he would try and remember what he'd done, and he couldn't remember what he'd just done. This was happening all the time. Anyway, he researched this, and he found out that very often the early signs of dementia can be a vitamin B12 deficiency. So he immediately went out and found a really good source of B12. And within a matter of a week or two, he was completely back to normal.
Right.
And this happened about 2 or 3 years ago. And I speak to him regularly, and he's still absolutely 100%. So I think B12, and particularly if you don't eat meat, Jack, B12 should be something you look into.
Every vegetarian should take B12. That's one of the ones I haven't cut out.
That's good to hear, mate. I'm glad to hear that.
Every vegetarian needs B12.
Perhaps after the show, you could just send me the B12 that you're taking, because I can research it and make sure. I know you can as well, but I'd like to know myself just to make sure it's a really good one.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, that was not what I wanted to talk about. I was just going to say I haven't been up to the land for a week. And so I've still got my winter cabbages to get in.
Right.
Directly sown in the ground. I don't have the facilities to raise plugs. But apart from that, I think all my sowing's done this year now.
Oh, that's good.
Well, for the time being, apart from lettuces and radishes that go in all the year round.
Yeah.
All summer anyway. It's basically just hoeing and keeping the birds off.
Yep, and or the parrots.
The parrots.
Yeah, definitely. Something else you'll have to try, Jack, once you've got a few crops harvested later on in the year, is maybe try to ferment some of your vegetables, because the health benefits of that are phenomenal.
I just don't have the space, Paul.
What do you mean by
tiny,
space?
tiny little kitchenette.
Right, okay.
I really don't have the space.
All you would need is a tiny airtight jar. That's all you need. You chop up your cabbage, you squeeze the water out of it into the jar or into the bowl. So you spend about 20 minutes just squeezing the cabbage water out.
Yeah.
Stick it all in the airtight jar, add some sea salt to it, close the jar. Every day you burp it. So if you don't do that, you can end up with it going through the ceiling. I've heard stories like that before. And after about 7 days, if it's cabbage, if it's like sauerkraut, you've got fermented vegetables. And it's a really easy thing to do. Loads of videos on YouTube, instructional videos on YouTube. And it's the health, like I say, the health benefits are incredible, mate. Especially as a lot of us, I'm not talking about you or me specifically, just a lot of people in general have severe gut problems. They have a compromised gut flora, which leads to all sorts of different other ailments, So fermented foods, probiotics, live enzymes, vitamin C, massive amounts of vitamin C, B vitamins, it's all in there, loads of minerals. So I'll be reminding you of this, Jack, later in the year, trying to get you to make some, because it's super good for you.
Yeah, as soon as I get some cabbages coming out of the ground, I'll give that a good think.
Yeah, definitely, mate, definitely.
The other thing I like to put in every year is perpetual spinach, or spinach beet, some people call it.
Sorry, Jack, do you remember what Emma Goodwin said about spinach?
Yes, I do. Oxalates.
Yes. Leaky gut syndrome.
Yeah, that's what she says.
They're like little shards of glass.
But according to Emma Goodwin, virtually everything that's got everything that's fat with goodness has got oxalates. So what do you do?
Well, yeah, exactly. I think that there is some. I mean, the way I used to eat a lot of spinach, I used to that I grew, and I used to juice it as well with other things. Luckily, I'm still okay, but I think that spinach is something that maybe you have once in a while, and you should be fine. Unless if you've got a compromised gut, then don't have spinach. But if you haven't, then once in a while, it's not going to do any harm, I don't think. No. It's all about balance at the end of the day. But these vegetables, a lot of them do have anti-nutrients, and berries do as well. And so it is a real thing that you need to be aware of. A plant-based diet is not a healthy diet. It really isn't. You're not going to get your healthy fats. And we were talking about cholesterol earlier. We all need cholesterol. Our brains need cholesterol.
We do, yeah.
So I think for a very long time now, it's been described as a balanced diet, and for a reason.
Yeah, I'm half convinced, mate, but
it's very difficult, Jack. I understand the position you're in. I went through it as well. It's a moral thing. It's a love of animals. I do understand that. I really do. But at the end of the day, whose survival comes first, yours or the animals?
Well, I don't really look at it that way, Paul. I mean, it's more and more evidence is coming out that plants are sentient too.
Yeah, they've got consciousness, which I think is why the theory goes, which is why they release the anti-nutrients, because they don't want to be picked. Get your hands off, I live here,
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on. There was a great film, I don't know if you've ever seen it, there was a great film made, soundtrack by Stevie Wonder in the 70s or 80s called The Secret Life of Plants. It's fantastic. I think it used to be on YouTube. And they show you in there, they show you plants communicating to each other. And they show things like a plant having some hot water poured over it or something like that. and the plant next to it freaking out. So
have you read what's his name, Merlin Sheldrake's book?
Nicola has. I haven't got around to that one yet. My to read list at the moment is like expanding by the day. It's ridiculous. But that is, I know he's the guy that talks a lot about plants and mushrooms, isn't he?
He talks a lot about a lot of things, yeah. But the book I'm talking about in particular is to do with the way plants communicate through their roots and through the fungi in the soil.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen stuff on that. I know trees are the same. Excuse me. Trees are the same as well, aren't they? They all communicate to each other.
Yeah, I think he concentrates mostly on trees in that book. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, you know, there's theories that everything has consciousness. The rocks have consciousness. Mountains have consciousness. The oceans have consciousness. So where do you go with that? You know, you're going to stop drinking water. I mean, blimey, you know, it's difficult one. There are breatharians out there, aren't there? There are people that actually live without eating and drinking.
How?
Have you not come across this before, Jack?
No, I haven't. Is this
honestly, I know one. I know a guy. Yeah. I know a guy that practices German New Medicine. I don't know if you've come across that before.
No.
I don't know much about it myself, only the very basics, but he is a breatharian. So he says maybe he's not a strict one. So maybe once a week he'll eat a very small meal if he fancies it, and that is it. That's all he does. It's incredible. There was an Indian guy that the BBC filmed in hospital for 2 weeks. They monitored him 24/7. An Indian guy did a documentary on him. And he was in that room for 2 weeks solid, didn't eat, didn't drink, didn't use the toilet, walked out all smiles.
Incredible.
Could you explain that?
I can't explain. Yes, I can explain it. Of course, it's the old mind over matter thing, isn't it?
Well, they say they get all their sustenance from the sun and from the air, I suppose.
If you don't believe that starving yourself to death and not drinking won't kill you, if you believe it won't kill you, then it won't kill you. It's whatever you believe, it's whatever you expect. I mean, years ago, I won't go down that road. I think very much it's to do, people say you attract what you believe. Well, I think I think we attract what we expect.
Yeah.
This is why I said the thing I said on social media a few weeks back, that there was a very harmful meme going around. Give and expect nothing in return. And I said, no. Give and don't expect anything in return. If you expect nothing, then you'll get nothing. You'll attract nothing. You'll attract getting nothing. If you do it with no expectation, which is the way I live my life, and I'll probably talk a little bit about this before we end. The whole ethos of my book is about changing our mindset from what can I get to what can I give. And if we could get communities of people living that way, I'm not saying the whole world, if we could get communities of people living that way, possibly based around community gardens, with no money and no quantitative exchange, no, I've given you that, so you've got to give me something. If we thought about what we could give instead of what we could get, and not just in economic terms, but in relationships too, we just concentrate on giving, not expect anything. Have I got to say? Yeah, not expect anything in return. Doesn't mean you expect nothing. It means you don't have any expectation one way or the other.
Okay.
And there's a big difference there.
That's an interesting concept, because I've not really thought about it in that way before. What you were saying before about, you know, what can I give or what can I create, what can I put out there for everyone, that I totally believe in. And you've written about that from my point of view better than, or more eloquently than anyone else. I think your book is brilliant, as you know, mate.
Thank you.
But in a relationship with somebody, could that be possible, where you're in a relationship where you're giving that person everything that you can give them and expecting nothing in return? Isn't that a one-sided relationship potentially?
What's wrong with that? I mean, I'm not talking about pair bonding now. I'm talking about general relationships with people.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought you were talking about.
I'm not talking about pair bonding. If you pair off with somebody, then that's probably a different scenario. But I'm not looking for that at the moment, and I'm not interested in that, and that's not what I'm doing. But I just put it out there. I mean, I help you a lot, don't I, with your videos? I give a lot of help to lots of different people, and the women think it's weird and they think I'm on the make, but that's their distress. I know that I have a pure heart, and I'm doing it for the right reasons, and I'm walking my talk.
Yeah.
And I think if we can just as we evolve into what people are calling fifth dimensional consciousness, and I don't particularly like that expression, but we'll stick with it for the time being because people know it. We're going to be thinking this way and feeling this way far more. We're going to be seeing what other people need and giving it to them, whether it's physical things, or whether it's help, or whether it's just having someone to sit with and talk with and hold your hand in a difficult situation, just somebody to listen, without any thought of anything coming back. And I certainly say, if I help anybody, don't pay me back, pay it forward. I'm not interested in getting anything back from you. I'm interested in you helping somebody, and them helping somebody, and them helping somebody, and them helping somebody, and them helping somebody, and it eventually finds its way back to me, or it doesn't. I'm easy either way.
Yeah,
that's the way I live my life.
Yeah, your book is the blueprint, mate. I think I really do think that, and I think that it must be great from your point of view, I think, to see that over the last couple of years, the beginnings of that are happening. People have come together. People in my community have come together. I know people now that are awake, living near me, and we're all helping each other out in very small ways. But it's just the beginning. I think, I hope, more than anything else in the world, I hope that it all does happen. But I think it will be a very gradual thing. I don't think it's going to be something that happens in, I don't know, the space of, say, 5 years or something like that. I think that it will probably take maybe a couple of generations for it to really be fully realized.
That's what I wrote in my book.
And
then the last 2 years happened. And I started to think, maybe we just need to speed this up a bit.
Yep.
Because by living this way, we can make the top-down, the capitalist or communist, I don't care which it is, system obsolete. And have a third possibility.
Yep.
A free gift economy, a third possibility. It's neither communist or capitalist. And then we've got a chance to escape the scenario that the World Economic Forum, to bring it back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, to escape the scenario that the World Economic Forum wants.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of talk about a split or a coming split in civilization, and I think that's what is going to happen.
MaBee,
You're right, mate.
Yeah, we got MaBee.
Hey, oh wow. I haven't seen MaBee for ages.
Hello, MaBee. Lovely to have you here. Lovely to have you here. Yeah.
Just
you've just come in at the end of the show, unfortunately.
I know.
But welcome.
Sorry.
How are you?
I'm well. It's been full on, but I'm well.
You look well.
Thank you.
You do look very well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's happening in the south of France?
Heat wave. They're rolling out their global warming agenda. I mean, Europe is very much under the thumb of the ones I won't name.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've had no rain since the 20th of April. So you can see from my skin, I'm absolutely brown. From being out of doors and dealing with a guest house, which I'm putting on. I'm putting it back for people, whoever needs a break this summer. Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Beautiful.
And I think I'm going to offer it, not for people who are going to fly, but anyone who wants to come for a week. I think I will offer it just for an exchange of anything that they want to gift.
That's beautiful.
So that's what I'm going to do for, yeah. So I've already offered it for a man and 2 children for the last 12 weeks because he had no home. And so he's being here until the 15th of June. And then I've got family coming from England, flying my grandchildren because they're getting married. And I've decided I will not fly to Greece and I will not spend 5,000 to go to the wedding of my granddaughter. So they're coming for a blessing here. So they're coming for a week and I'm going to bless both the grandchildren and their brides and bridegroom.
Oh, lovely.
So that's what I'm going to do. That's my choice.
So if people want to come and stay with you, how do they contact you?
Well, they can either contact me via the Source Center or they can go through French Connections, Property 904. FrenchConnections.co.uk, Property 904. And then they can see what's available. Right now, I'm hoping to have a bit more bookings because the financial booking, the money coming for the booking, will enable me to go on gifting and to run this place and to pay for water, to run the gardens, and yes, to pay for the pool products. And for me, maybe people who haven't got a car, I hope whoever comes by car and manages to put 4 or 5 people in one car and just drive all the way down and not go on the planes. So that's just, yeah. So I can offer 10 days or a week, whatever.
Now, I have looked on the Source Center website, MaBee, and the dates weren't up to date.
I know. I haven't been on it for months and months because nothing is up to date. What's your name? PayPal took me out, so I can't have any more PayPal payments. It's okay. I don't go with that. So I said to them, forget it. I'm not singing the tune you're playing. So I've got to change it to a gifting, but I haven't done it because I've been dealing with much more, what's the word? Intense requests of my energy in different places.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what I've been, not just with English, but with French major, people dying, people in crisis. Yeah, it's huge. How
is Jacques the doctor? Is he still with us?
He's still with me. Yes, he's still with me.
Incredible. Yeah.
I know. I'm still working on him. Yeah. So that's why I haven't dealt with my website because I've been dealing with, holding my energies very, very amped up. So I keep quite a few people and I'm helping now young people who went with the experimentations in order to get out of the house. They were just losing the plot. 17, 18, 20-year-old, 25-year-old. And I'm starting to meet them. And I said, look, I'm giving you these details. Just do it. Go meet this man, have it done, get all that stuff out of your system. So that's what I'm doing. But of course, it's taking a lot out of me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm not a young chick anymore. But spiritually I am, but physically it's been a lot. It's been huge. And I had my daughter, and 2 planes were cancelled very late. So it meant I had to go to and fro. And then the last day I said, just stay. I'm picking up. They're going to cancel the flight. And at 11:30, they said, oh, we're canceling the flight. So it's good to be a little bit of a medium because you know things a little bit ahead. But when people don't know about that, they still go with the storytellings. So, I mean, they changed it until midnight, then 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. I said, can you let's just don't go. Let's not go. So, and she was delighted because at 12 o'clock, they said, oh, it's been cancelled. I said, there you are. So let's have a game together. Let's have a little glass of wine. Then let's go to bed and book another flight. So she had a backup and she went with British Airways. So it's fascinating, the games they're playing. But the thing is, she had a backup. She didn't have to go to a hotel. She didn't have to clock out of a hotel at 10 o'clock the next day. But there were parents there with very young children. So that's a different, it's a different story. Yeah. So this is the games they are playing. And it really matters to have absolute support right now and be in solidarity and unified. Be unified, whatever is going on. So little money somebody has can help pay something else for somebody else. And that's what I've been doing. As the money is coming my way, I've been able to help somebody who had no money and they needed to mend their car. So it's just flowing from one side to another side and letting the flow of the energy go. And then something else will happen. Something else will flow.
This is exactly what Paul and I were talking about before you arrived.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. You see, I didn't have to be on your show because I'm already aligned.
They were talking about giving and not counting the cost and toiling and not asking for any reward.
But knowing.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Somebody's car needed 300 euros repair. And my sister needed some money to come in dollars. So she paid for that repair and then she had dollars. So somebody else was able to give some more dollars and they were sent to her daughter in the United States who was in great need to pay for a hospital, major car accident issue. So we're all weaving different strands. I mean, it's so subtle. The weaving we need to do right now is what I call a very subtle weaving of the spider medicine at the highest level, not the inverted spider that has been weaving a web to catch us in their net, like in the Lord of the Ring. This is a very, very delicate balance when the spider weaves to really interconnect everything globally, worldwide, at the highest level.
Yes. Do you want to say anything about the new moon today?
Oh, it's a new moon in Gemini. So we have moved in the sign of Gemini, and the sun is in Gemini, the moon is in Gemini, so the opposite sign will be Sagittarius. So truth is going to be justice and truth needs to come out. So what we're going to need to be mindful, because Gemini has to do with Mercury, Hermes, the messenger of the gods. And right now, Mercury is retrograde. What that means is we need to watch how we communicate, watch how internally we engage with our thought process, our mind, and what we wish to co-create. So Moon in Gemini, it's a mutable sign. So it wants to, what's the word? Papillonner. Mercury, Gemini tends to get a little bit of information from many different areas, as you know, because you're Gemini, I think.
Yeah.
So sometimes it stays on the surface, and we need to go deeper right now with the Gemini. So the new moon is planting a seed, and I would say, how do we wish to communicate with each other? Rather than go with what may just seem to be the information, let's take it deeper and really check that the information is being grounded in truth. So I would say with the new moon in Gemini, let us go Gemini Sagittarius, and let's go with truth. Is what I'm going to say being rooted and grounded in truth, as much as I'm able to hold and share truth. And if I don't have that, let me not speak. Let me say, I don't have that information. And let's be humble with that. And be in gratitude. So for what information I'm gifted, I can share that if it is grounded in truth. For what information I do not have, let's be humble and say, I don't know. And that helps someone, maybe who knows, to say, oh, I may have a little bit of that information. Let's move away from social media. Let's move away from television, because a lot of media is giving fake information. And let's move away from lies. And let's move away from needing to be sharing something. Often we need to be seen through sharing something, even if it is something someone else has said, because we have such a longing to be validated. We have such a longing to be seen by someone else or to be heard by someone else, because that goes back to not being heard and not being seen by our siblings, our family, our grandparents, who were not seen themselves, were not heard, were told to be silent. Does that make sense?
That's a lot of wisdom there, MaBee.
How about you?
Paul?
Yes, Paul.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I was just thinking about the Mercury retrograde that you mentioned. When we're going through that, can there be any health implications, any health problems that might arise as a consequence of going through that?
Well, what I've discovered with what we are moving from the 3D reality and chaos, so we are going to be seeing a huge amount of chaos unfolding with Pluto in Capricorn. It's an earth sign. So Pluto in Capricorn is really going to go on breaking the old. That doesn't serve the values of this planet. But my feeling is, if we are not using our throat chakra, okay, it's a very important chakra. It's the higher heart. You know, we have the heart chakra and we have the higher heart, which we need to connect with the ajna and the heart center. So if we have misused or maybe done researches in areas that were not in alignment, maybe, this is just I'm pondering with both of you. Am I going into an area and doing research. Okay, Mercury, the messenger of the god that shares information between man and the divine, the spirit world, and bringing information into humanity. So if I have misused my throat center is connected with my sacral center. Sacral center has to do with digestion, assimilation. What is it that I am not digesting and assimilating? So that could bring health issues, Paul. Because any planet that is retrograde is going back. So Mercury right now may be in Gemini. Usually when a sun is moved into a new sign, the Mercury is usually within 5, 6, 7 degrees of the solar energies. So we've just moved on the 24th, 25th of May in Gemini. So the solar energy is going to shine in that sign. The moon, which is going to be lit. So we're going to have the moon, the new moon, not the full moon, the new moon. So let's plant a seed. How do I wish to communicate? With words, with community, with family, with social media. What do I want to share? And it's interesting because they've changed everything on social media, and they've changed so much that I don't understand how to make it work. I've wanted to create a video today to show how the hens were sunbathing, but I couldn't make it work. I couldn't even get a live. So it's interesting because when Mercury is retrograde, it's very difficult to communicate. It's asking a lot more refining. We're having to rethink. How do I want to communicate? And has that person understood what I was saying? So it's asking us a little bit more presencing on, it's not just about the mind, it's about communicating Mercury, okay, Hermes, winged feet, coming and wanting to share. What do I want to share with the divine? And what do I want to bring from the spirit world to humanity? What is going to serve humanity? So right now it's retrograde. So it's saying, let's go back and check, where have I not been aligned with my words, with my thoughts? How have I hurt other people? Have I held gratitude when I've hurt other people? And have I created a place of atonement? And have I received their forgiveness? Because we are united. So if I hurt someone, I remember Master Thich Nhat Hanh, who went to a woman who was absolutely in anger because Master Thich Nhat Hanh had been saying something to the whole group. And to her, she'd taken it in person, and it had brought so much rage in her, so much anger. And she just felt so much anger for Master Thich Nhat Hanh. And it lasted a week, and 2 weeks, and 3 weeks. And on the 4th week, Thich Nhat Hanh came to her, put his hand on her shoulder, and he says, I too hurt with you. My heart is hurting so much, like your heart has been hurting. Can you make peace? So for 4 weeks, Master Thich Nhat Hanh, who is no longer here, he died in February. For 4 weeks, he felt her pain. That's the connection. and he stayed with the process, her process. So when we are united, we stay in the process of each other. That's very profound teaching.
That's beautiful, MaBee.
Mm.
Very beautiful.
So Mercury is really, can I catch those thoughts? Can I catch when I'm projecting something onto someone? Bring it back and say, oh, can I hold that? Because rather than putting it in the field, morphogenetic field, can I just take it back and see, oh, well, that's been activated in me. Can I just look at what is being activated and take ownership? Can I respond? Am I able to respond? Rather than, oh, that's somebody else, or that's that, or that's the weather, or that's the chemtrails. No, when I see the chemtrails, I said, oh, I'm collapsing those. There's no power. I'm collapsing. You have no power over me, over my garden. That's inverting. It's tipping everything upside down, not giving power outside, but taking it back. And that has to do with Mercury, Paul. Mm. Mercury is a very profound. It can be skimming the surface when we share so much information, we're no longer really relating. That's social media at its worst. But if we share just a little bit of the essence of the medicine we want to share, that's truly connected with your soul path, Paul, who you are, or Jake, or Jack, then the laws of the universe are being honored. So maybe what I want to say to you, Paul, is what right now with what is happening globally, when we breach one of the laws of the universe, as we move from the 3D to the 4D and the 5D, we shall be taken back in alignment. And that means we may suffer physically. And another thing I've discovered, speaking for me and many of the people who I'm witnessing dying, or who I'm witnessing being very, very ill indeed, is we are made out of photon light. And we as a planet right now, the cosmos is crossing the photon belt. And we're having solar flares. So we're having a huge influx of energy right now. So if your path is to be consciously awakened, everything from down your lineage is going to be clearing through you. Don't attach to it, let it go through you. That means drink a lot, hydrate, vitamin C, zinc, magnesium, do everything you need to do. Detox, because we are clearing through everything so that we are going to go through that consciousness shift.
I think I recently went through some sort of purge.
Yes.
For about 10 days, I
Yes.
felt completely drained of energy. I had no energy at all. I didn't have any cold symptoms. I just felt extremely tired. And it lasted about 10 days. And I've never experienced anything like it before. It was very, very debilitating and frustrating for me, because I wanted to get to my allotment and start, planting my seeds and stuff. And I just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, you were being taken back to Paul. Paul could to be with Paul. And many, many, many people have been going through what you're sharing for months and years, Paul. The light workers that we are, the more we hold, sometimes we go through a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes months with absolute no energy, because we are being shifted into crystalline energies. But at the same time, we are being taken away from doing to being. So being with yourself, Paul, Jack being with Jack, me being with MaBee. And that is asking, you know, where have I got addictive patterns? How am I not being true to myself? Where am I betraying my values? This is what's being asked all the time of us. Realign, realign, realign. And it's an ongoing practice. And it does require a huge amount of energy, Paul. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what I want to leave you both with.
Thank you.
My
Very,
blessing.
very grateful to you for that. That explains a lot. So thank you.
And you're not alone, okay? Because we're carrying as well. We are surfing and we are swimming against the current of a collective, first of a world that is breaking down. That's heavy. And at the same time, we are shifting our own stuff. Okay, we are purifying, detoxifying, cleansing, relating, community work, etc., etc. And at the same time, we are shifting into crystalline bodies.
It's quite a time to be alive, isn't it?
It's amazing, but at the same time, it's the most challenging time to be in, because you never know tomorrow who is going to knock at your door and what is going to be asked of you. And are you going to say yes, which is the yes of the Sophia, the Virgin Mary? I am the servant. Who do I serve? I serve the divine within me. That's the message, you know. When the archangel comes to the Virgin Mary, you know, will you be the servant of the Lord? And she says, yes, hands up. But can we say hands down, which is no? What do I say no to? And if we know how to say yes, we know how to say, we can say no. The both are entwined. There we are, my dearest ones.
Oh, thank you, dearest MaBee. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. Well, such a wise, beautiful soul. Thank you.
Bless both of you.
Yeah.
Bless
Lovely
you,
to see you again, MaBee.
Love and blessings,
lovely
MaBee.
to see you, Paul. And I hold no grief. I hold no. I have all is well, Paul. And it was well from the beginning. I want you to know that.
Okay, thank you.
And it's just, I have moved away a lot from social media. Okay. So, until we meet again.
Hopefully not too long.
Yep.
Keep well.
Yeah, look after yourself.
I am.
Thank you, MaBee. Absolutely wonderful.
Yes, blessings to all of you.
Right, we've gone well over time, but it was certainly worth it to listen to MaBee.
Brilliant.
Absolutely beautiful lady.
Yeah, I've missed her.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I love her very much. So anyway, I will put this, it doesn't go automatically. I've got to find a way of doing it automatically, but I will put this recording on YouTube. So you can watch it later. So let's wind it up, Paul.
Okay, mate. That was a good one. I really enjoyed that, especially with the surprise guest at the end. That was brilliant.
Absolutely.
It's been a good
wonderful.
one.
Maybe when, because if we're doing it on YouTube now, it's a totally different format.
Do you mean Zoom?
Sorry, yeah, while we're on Zoom now, it's a totally different format. So even if Annie is co-hosting one week, it doesn't stop you coming on if you want to for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever.
Sure, mate, sure. Like. You know,
and the same when you're co-hosting, it doesn't stop her coming on or other people.
Brilliant.
It's a totally different format. So we've got to have a different mindset for it, I think.
Sure. Okay. Thanks,
but
Jack.
It's good, isn't it? It's worked so far.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, what I'm looking at the moment, I can't see any chat box or anything other than your screen. So
right, if you go down the bottom, if you move your cursor to the bottom, you should see
right, participants. Yeah, I see it now.
Next to participants, you've got chat.
Yeah, I've seen. I found it.
Yeah,
Outline
okay.
chat. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, we haven't needed it this week.
No.
Great.
Good-
Thanks,
good
Paul.
to know it's there. All right. Cheers,
Cheers,
mate.
See you next week.
So
Well,
yeah. So
Paul,
next Monday is officially Emma, but if I turn up, it's all right.
it's officially Annie.
Annie, sorry, not Emma. Yeah.
But if you want to turn up as well, that'd be wonderful.
Could well happen, mate. Could well happen. I'm in
Yeah.
the. I think I'm in the shop, but yeah, it could well happen. I'll probably let you know beforehand.
Yeah, and let me know how you get on with your photo shoot with your products.
Yes, yeah, that's this week as well. So
Brilliant.
nice one. Cheers,
Okay.
mate. See you soon, Jack.
Namaste.